There's been a lot of emotional reaction from Indigenous communities after an investigation by CBC's The Fifth Estate that challenged singer and songwriter Buffy St Marie's claims to Indigenous ancestry. Adeline Bird is a Winnipeg-born writer and filmmaker. The Afro-Anishinaabe woman says the reporting on Buffy has her reflecting on the times her Indigenous identity was questioned and is worried about others who may be struggling with their own Indigenous identity in the wake of the reporting on Buffy. Adeline joins me now. Welcome to the show, Adeline.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
How did you feel when you watched the Fifth Estate expose on Buffy St Marie's Indigenous ancestry?
I think like most people, bamboozled, hurt, angry, all of the things, and I'm still feeling things.
Are you still a Buffy fan?
I don't know. I don't know what I am. I think as time goes by, what I will say is that I probably won't be listening to her music. It's a process. I think that's a question that I feel like will be ever evolving.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of unpacking to do.
Absolutely.
Now, as an Afro-Indigenous person, what has your experience been like with your own Indigenous identity being questioned?
I am, I'm browner. My hair is more coarse. And so when I show up at the table, a lot of the times I am either overlooked or, given a side eye or, questioned even more. And so I always find it fascinating when these conversations or when these people come up, the pretendians come up around. I always find it interesting because, it's what I always find is we are constantly looking to white people or passing white people to take up that space and speak for our communities constantly. And so there are so many different realities that exist within Indian country that I think we're getting an opportunity here to really take a look at us as a whole, as a community.
How does it make you feel personally when you are questioned about your roots?
One of the protocols in our community is that you ask somebody where they're from. And that has always been what we just do. And so, when people ask me where I'm from, I can always state where I'm from. I am Afro-Anishinaabe from Rolling River Treaty 4 First Nations. But a lot of times people are uncomfortable with my identity because of stereotypes, because of anti-Blackness that is very prevalent within Indian country. And so those things end up filtering out into my experience and how I navigate being an Anishinaabe artist.
How does it impact you when it comes to like that someone has been presenting themselves as Indigenous when they are not?
Marjorie, it is so weird to me because where I grew up in Winnipeg, in the west end of Winnipeg, no one was ever proud to be Native. No one ever wanted to be Native. And so this whole pretending thing and all this conversation around identity is something that I think I'll probably be unpacking for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. Because now we have the language for certain things.
The word pretendian has come up a lot in these conversations. You've mentioned it a couple times in this interview. What do you think of that word?
Oh, I struggle with that word. I really do, because there's two sides to it. We have a word for this behavior. You know what I mean? And this type of person. And so it opened up this portal to have all these different types of conversations. The other side is that you have what we call pretending hunters calling out or calling in people who are actually from the community and perhaps may not have direct ties because they're children of the state or whatever it may be. being bullied to the point where they can't get jobs. Their parents are being doxxed. It can become very toxic behavior. So I struggle with that word. I understand why it's there, but there's all these sides to it. There's all these things that are true around that word.
Is there a better word in your opinion to use, or even a way to describe it?
No, there isn't, because that's the thing is like it'll evolve. It's like people always say to me the word Afro-Indigenous, like, what does that even mean? It's like, growing up, I never had a word for my identity. And all of a sudden, maybe 5-6 years ago, this word Afro-Indigenous came out. I was like, there it is. And that word is going to evolve. Even I've evolved. Like now I'm like, okay, I need to say Afro-Anishinaabe because I need to get more specific about where I'm from, because Indigenous can mean anything. Not anything, but a wide range of things. And so that word, I feel like, will evolve. Maybe it'll stay. I'm not sure. I don't know. But again, that's one of I know this might sound crazy for me to say, but the exciting parts of this conversation and moving forward with this conversation. And I hope that this isn't the only time that we have these conversations, that these conversations are ongoing.
Mm-hmm. Well, what kinds of conversations have you been having with people since CBC released this story about Buffy last week?
Oh, so many. But the one that I really want to, I guess, highlight in this interview, and something that my elder brought to my attention was, why are we constantly idolizing people? And I understand representation and how, like, I get that. I'm an advocate for that. And I get how important that is. But when we begin to idolize people and, try to make ourselves fit into this celebrity or whoever it is, it can become toxic.
Yeah, because it's not something easy to talk about. So how do you navigate it with people?
I don't think there's a how to. I be working in the film and television industry. We back in 2000, and I can't remember what year that was, but with the Michelle Latimer, who I worked with on Trickster. Mm-hmm. That is even something as a film community, Indigenous film community, we're still unpacking. So I think these are conversations that are going to have to happen safely within our community, with us, and what actions. And Marjorie, this is the exciting part for me is what are we going to do moving forward?
Mm-hmm. Adeline, there's been so much talk, so many conversations surrounding Buffy St Marie's accolades and awards. There are, of course, plenty of them. The Indigenous Women's Collective is calling on the Juno's committee to rescind the 2018 Juno Award that St Marie received for Indigenous Album of the Year. What do you make of that?
I agree with them. And this is just my personal opinion. This is not a reflection of my family or my community. But as an artist, I understand what accolades and awards can do for your career and how they can elevate you. And so something I think about is all those awards, all those accolades, who could have been in that space? Who could have that been? And so I really do feel like, again, that even that conversation around calling in the Junos to, that's gonna create a beautiful conversation about what to do moving forward in the particularly in the music industry.
A lot of people feel that they've lost an icon in Buffy. Do you see someone who could fill that void?
I have an issue with people saying that there's one icon first and foremost, and I get that, but there are so many Indigenous artists who have been out there for a really long time. You got Jay Turner, you got Leonard Sumner. There's all these Indigenous artists that have been doing amazing work and have never gotten the experience that someone like Buffy has. And so I this idea of filling a void, no, we have artists. Let's start having the conversations on how we start elevating them.
Adeline, it was great to talk to you again. Really do appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marjorie.
That is Adeline Bird, an Afro-Anishinaabe writer and filmmaker from Winnipeg, living in Toronto. Thank you for watching the CBC Manitoba YouTube channel. And don't forget to like and subscribe. For the latest breaking news and top stories, download the CBC News app.